And my name's Ann O'Donnell, and as most of you know, I'm a hick from Indiana, but I married my husband, Mr. O'Donnell, and we are now been here for many, many years. We came up in '56, and I knew nothing about sailboats or water or anything like that, but I fell in love with Grand Lake like everybody else. And it's a very large family, the O'Donnells. I guess you've heard of them. And when I saw the cabin, I was very excited till we went in the kitchen and there was a wood-burning stove. And I thought, this isn't gonna work. But I still cook on a wood-burning stove. I'm the only one in the town, but I don't chop the wood. So I just change the pots around and it works out fine. Okay, Jane, tell them a little bit about you.
Okay, I'm Jane Lynch, and I have been here since 1963. And it turns out that my husband was invited to a meeting here, and so it was the first time he'd ever been here. He said, I was born in Colorado Springs. I didn't even know this place existed. So anyway, we were there for, I think it was a weekend. I don't remember the name, period. I have that problem this time of the year, since we're both in our 90s. And we have a problem, I do. Anyway, when we were here just visiting that one particular weekend, we decided the next year we would rent for the summer. And we rented the Hooks house. I don't know if anybody remembers the Hooks house, but we were there for the 1964. And that was really fun. It was put up a lot of stairways, and I was pregnant with my third son, and it was kind of tough. And while we were there, I decided to my husband, I'm going to look around and see if I can find a house for sale. So I started looking, and I really couldn't find anything, and I don't know who told me, but somebody told me about this house where we live now, looking right at Baldy. And I went in there, and somebody said that it was a brand new house, but the man committed suicide by his fireplace in the living room, which was really touching, you know. But it turned out that it was perfect for my family because we could just drive in. We didn't have to go up and down any hills or steps or anything. It was just a super, super place. So we bought that house in 1964 and moved in, and there was a lot next door, and I said, we're buying that too, which we did. And it's just a tough story. Anyway, it's been fun. My kids have been raised here, and Ann and I are kind of a pair. We were, when my kids were old enough, they got little jobs here and there, and so I thought, I can't stay home and, by myself all the time, so I got a job too. And it was working at the t-shirt shop in
Boot Hill.
Boot
Hill.
Was it Boot Hill?
I think so.
Well, anyway, I worked there for a while, and that was lots of fun. But Ann and I were up at the lodge one day, and she says, you have a job and you work. And she says, I think that we need to do something. And So I saw Ted James up there, and I says, well, and I'm going to talk to him. And I said, Ted, have you hired your laundry help yet? And he says, no. And I said, yes, you have. And Ann and I are going to do it. He thought we'd last a day. We lasted 4 years. And it was
I gotta tell you, our kids said, oh yes, Mr. James, we'll be back next year. So a better job came up and they took it. So he didn't have anybody to do laundry. That's how we got involved in all those years. And nobody believes us, but we had fun. Jane had a blue Cadillac, and the laundry ladies would arrive up at the Grand Lake Lodge, and we got to go to all the parties. We had free lunch. Bob Scott was up there selling jewelry. It worked out well. But the thing I want to tell you about now is Jane and I were very involved in the El Toro ladies, which there were about 10 of us here on the lake. And there were only 2 rules. You had to be over 40 and you had to have a boat. Well, believe it or not, we were accepted by the yacht club. We were accepted nationally, and one year we had the nationals here, and these boats were famous. They were about 8 feet long because you couldn't fall out of them. They could fill up with water, which they did many times, completely fill up to the top, but they never turned over. So here's a picture of what William and we were called the late bloomers. We were called the late bloomers, and there were about 10 of us, and everything was very professional. We had minutes and Commodore, Vice Commodore, all kinds of things. But anyway, Jane and I were both involved in that. And if you ever drive by our house, my old El Toro was out in front. And my daughter-in-law, the show, always decorates it and puts flowers in it. And it looks very nice. So anyway, that's one of the stories I wanted to tell.
Well, it's hard to follow you.
Thank you.
I was going to talk about the sailing too, because after the sail race was over, we had the lot next door. It was empty, and people would pull in there, and so we'd have a Bubbles and Burgers party. I mean, we had a Bubbles and Burgers party for I don't even know how many years.
Forever.
Forever. And that was a lot of fun. Everybody loved the Bubbles and Burgers party. And I can't think of any right now. I can't think
Tell them
of
about the cesspool.
Oh, it's cesspool.
the what?
Cesspool.
The cesspool?
When you had to call Frank Lindsay. Instead of one.
Now you tell us. Yeah. No, you tell us. Yeah.
Well, so we had, this is before we had,
Oh, I just remembered.
you know, before there was a sewer system around here, why, everybody had cesspools. And they were a bad deal because they were, finally, Jim Munn found some stuff bubbling up over here in this cove. But we did a big job to get plumbing. But anyway, we had these cesspools in our yard. And so every once in a while, all of a sudden the sewage backed up. And so we'd call Frank Lindsay and he'd come over there and he'd throw dynamite in.
make sure they didn't get anything. I think I hid somewhere. But we don't know.
Tell us about raising, between the two of you, you have 5 boys, which is a lot of trouble. So what did your boys do all summer long, and how did you supervise them, or not?
Well, they had jobs.
They had jobs.
Tell us about that.
Well, mainly up at the lodge, they worked up there. And then they went to work for, it was a restaurant, I'm sorry, I can't come up with a name, it's not here anymore.
6 groceries, too.
And six grocery, I don't know if that rings a bell with anybody, but that's a very, very old restaurant that was here. We don't know what to.
Well, 6 grocery is where the sagebrush is then. And think about the season today. 6 grocery opened up on Memorial Day and it shut down on after Labor Day, right after. And they went back to Denver.
Jane, tell them about the theater. The first theater, when we went to the plays.
When it was over at
Yes.
the
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
Yeah, the theater was at the park, and then it moved behind this, like Charlie's. There was a place, and I think they tore that thing down, but it was there, and then,
Pine Cone Inn. Pine Cone Inn.
yeah,
In the parking lot.
in the
What's-
parking
what's
lot,
now
yeah,
parking lot.
and that's where it was.
And great theater.
It was great.
Still is. It still is.
I remember her young son, in one of the shows, somebody sang, "Do you love me?" And one of her kids said, "No, I don't."
Did you make a lot of money doing the laundry?
We were the highest paid, $5 an hour. We couldn't work on Fridays because we had to get home and fix the house up and ourselves, get ready for our husbands to come up, have a nice dinner. So Monday was really tough. There was laundry just piled up everywhere. And as I recall, I didn't do too well with Clorox.
But you know, we knew how much to,
Yeah, we had it all figured out.
we fill them up with those sheets and stuff, and we have a time, and we'd go sit on the steps going up into the lodge and talk to, you know, a lot of those kids that were, and at that particular time, Ted didn't hire local people. They were all from Europe. Don't you remember all the kids were, you know, they didn't have the local people, just Ann and me. But we really had a great time.
And they'd come and talk to us quite a bit. One girl I remember was embarrassed of her father. He was a minister, and she didn't think he was preaching the right things at the right time. So she talked to us quite a bit and just asked advice, and a lot of the kids asked for advice, and we gave it to them. So it was a learning experience for us too.
There was a restaurant, it was kind of all you could eat. Duggins. Doodles.
Mountain Inn.
Doodles Mountain Inn.
Oh, Mountain Inn.
All you could, family style, all you could eat. I remember doing that. Now that's where the bake shop is.
Our gallery is now is Bill's Cafe.
Oh, wow.
So we ate there 53 years ago.
What Ruth just said is something about the McDougal's Cafe.
Douglas.
And it was
Yeah, that was a
all
different location.
family, all-you-can-eat cafe.
That's where we were. And we ate there 53 years ago on our honeymoon trip across the country.
Okay, you gotta stand up. You stand. Come on.
That's it.
That's it.
That's the whole story.
And they're still together.
I'd like to hear some sailing adventures.
Some sailing adventures. So, tell us more about the El Toro races. How did you all get along in those races?
Oh.
How many were in the fleet? Who were all the ladies that sailed?
I didn't know how to sail, I don't even know how to, I still don't know how to swim. It was awful. I can't remember, my husband was following some lady around, helping her, and I thought, I need the help. I don't know how to do this. But you were good at it.
Well, only at the last one, the Nationals. Everybody else's boat filled up with water. And I just happened to be in a different place and mine didn't. But the wind was blowing a lot, but as long as I stayed in the cove,
Yeah.
I was safe. And I ended up getting a ribbon. Only because I didn't move. Finally pulled my sails in and sailed to the finish. And I still have ribbons from that time.
Well, tell them about Mosley's. You
Oh, Mosley's. You tell them about
Yeah.
I
Mosley's.
can't even think about Mosley's at this boat.
Oh, well, Mosley's was a restaurant down, and now it's called
It's the Roadhouse.
the Roadhouse.
Yeah, okay.
And every Wednesday night, the ladies would get together for a drink. And then we'd go to Mosley's. And the kids always had to stay in a separate place. And there was a gal there, Tilly. Tilly was her name. And she waited on us every time, and she was so nice. And it was just a great night out, and we did it every Wednesday.
Well, the
For
kids had
years.
their separate booth. You and I had our own booth, and the kids, had a different booth. When we.
Oh, yeah, we had our own booth, yeah.
Yeah.
Girls and one and boys.
What?
How about picking up guys, the husbands at the train?
Christmas what?
When you picked us up at the train, the commuters.
Well, they'd work all week, and then they'd catch the Denver Zephyr.
No, it was on the DNRG, and it was it left Denver at 6:15 and got to Granby about 8. And so the husbands would be able to sit there and have a few pops in the club car. And
Which
then
they
the girls-
did.
The girls would be waiting for us in Granby.
And,
That didn't last about 2 years.
but those 2 years, they'd get home, and they'd want to go sailing. And I was all ready for dinner, and the kids were hungry and all that, but they wanted to go sailing, so off they went.
So during regatta week, there was always entertainment night. And you two were pretty prominent in entertainment night.
I'm gonna pay you a picture.
Yeah,
We
so,
sang.
yeah.
I can't believe what we did, Ann.
Take back your pearls, take back,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I had
We have
big,
some
long,
pictures.
stringy pearls, and, we would be on the stage. I'm very shy. And you'd never know it, when we were up on the stage. We were pretty.
And And who did the scripts? Who wrote the scripts generally?
Whoever was in charge of entertainment night.
Okay. Yeah. Well, they were fun.
Oh, we had fun.
Tell us what stores were around when your families were young. And where the kids worked at some of them.
You know that lady that had, she was a nun, I think, at one time, and I can't think of her name.
Charlene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she had a wonderful store.
Yeah.
Really very, very nice things, and, yeah. But then she ended up going, was she in a home or something? It was, yeah. She was here for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think,
Well, there was a shooting gallery. I remember that. That was very popular.
Right next door to the road.
Right next door to the road, which didn't used to be called the road.
Now they call it the Lariat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still a shooting gallery.
She said the Lariat is still a shooting gallery.
Any other questions?
Have you ever had any animals in your houses?
oh, yes. I had a fox that every single day came and visited me. And I would come out, with my food, and he'd be at my feet. But one day I said to him, now you sit right there. I will feed you, but I'm going to take your picture first. In fact, I almost brought that picture because he's just looking up like this at me. But every day he would come all by himself. And then all of a sudden, there were 6 others there. But he would be on the rock, sitting over on the rock on the left. And the others would be hiding in the bushes on the right-hand side. And so when I'd come out, those 6 would come. I said, look, he is first. I will feed him, so you sit over there and wait. And they did. I mean, it was really interesting. They're so smart, really. But I haven't had a fox for, I'm going to say, the last maybe 4 years. And I don't know.
She's had bats. I said, you've had bats.
Oh yeah, bats. Last year I had bats in the house, and it was I don't even know, it was awful. It was really awful.
And who came to your house that wasn't invited?
Pardon?
What animal came to your house?
We've been lucky.
I thought you had a bear.
Oh, that's Sally's story. He was going out to get the newspaper and left the garage door open and didn't turn to look around or anything. And while he was out getting the newspaper, a bear came in our house in the garage. And all he had was a newspaper. And the bear would start to go out, and then he'd change his mind, and Scally would try and get in, and he couldn't. And luckily, he didn't get up on all fours, or Scally wouldn't be here today. But Scally got him in the nose, and like this, and snuck in and slammed the door. That's our bear story. Nobody was hurt.
Well, we've had the moose go across the yard quite a bit with their babies, you know. But this year I haven't seen any of them. Not yet. And I don't mind
Can you think of anything?
We have raccoons, lots of raccoons. Raccoons.
Oh yeah, we have lots of raccoons, and we used to have our refrigerator out on the porch. And the raccoons figured out how to open the door and got in the refrigerator. And there were all these claw marks all over everything. So from that night on, we had to tie the refrigerator shut so the raccoons couldn't get in. Come on, somebody.
I know, so remember when the Hells Angels came into town? And your kids were all running around town with the Hells Angels?
That's right. They were tough looking. I never saw them, but the kids were all in town. And
Was that worrisome to you? Were you worried?
when I heard about it, yeah. Yes.
What is the most famous person you've met?
Here,
Here at Grand Lake?
my nephew, but I haven't. He's already here. Then I'd say Bob Scott.
Churchill, he was part of that all had here one time.
Winston Churchill?
I can't remember, some member of the Churchill, Winston Churchill's family. The Halls.
Guess what? It's 7 o'clock.
Is this means it's over?
Well,
Do you live here year-round or just summers?
Arrival? I didn't hear his question.
Oh, I asked if you were here year-round, and he answered that. It was in the summers that you were here.
Summertime. Did you all ever come up with your kids and husbands in the winter?
Oh, yes.
Tell us how that went.
Tell me what that again. What?
Did you ever come up in the winter to your houses?
Oh, sure.
Tell us how that went. What kind of an ordeal was it?
Oh, it was great. We would come at Christmas time sometime and stay through New Year's. And that was very nice.
A lot of
We had
snow.
a Christmas tree and all that stuff up. It was very nice.
Where would you get your Christmas tree?
This kid named Winky. No, yeah.
You just get,
Winky he's like my kid, so I call him Winky. But he's so good about doing things. But he did get my Christmas tree and we decorated it and it was fun. And not only that, but every year Winky makes a little tree, decorates it and gives it to our friends. Maris gets one, I get one, you get one.
Mine has
And you
blue
get
lights.
one.
Don't tell the Forest Service.
It comes from my yard.
well, you two are long-timers that have a unique perspective because you're summertime long-timers. So it's fun to hear about the summertime.
Oh, we get together a lot in Denver.
Yeah. That you raised the families, you had a lot of memories here in the summertime.
Great summer.
Yeah, the kids all worked up here.
Yep, our kids have been lucky. No question.
I worked here in 1946. And the guy that had the boat shop over here and the rental down there was the same people. And so I went back and forth from one place to the other, whatever. And it was 7 days a week, sun up till sunrise, no union. Yeah. So they had a boarding house there that the mechanic's wife fed us. And there was a big dormitory, it was 1946, so that we slept up above the boat shop. And the other guys were all just back from the war. And I was just turning 16, so I learned a lot. Anyway, it was fun. It was a great summer.
Who was the owner of the boat service then?
Her name was Louise Miller. She was a school teacher in Pueblo. And that was another, Memorial Day and Labor Day. Because in those days, school started a week after Labor Day. She was gone.
Who owned the David Haven back then?
They're going to open to the 1st of July for the bar
Good.
and the outside patio.
Good.
They are.
So that's good.
Who had it back then? Was it characters?
I'm sorry.
Who had David Haven back then? Was it characters?
Oh,
Tom and Betty
Sal.
Tom and Betty Sowell had it.
Yes,
Yeah.
but then,
Sal's,
yeah, the Sal's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was Piper?
Piper,
That was before.
Piper.
yeah, Les Piper is like, and they had a big house over there, David Haven on the lake. And they had a great big 3-seat motorboat. It wasn't a Chris Craft, it was a Garwood. And Les Piper smoked a cigarette and drove people around the lake. What was his wife's name? I can't remember, but she did all the work. But, I don't know how many of you play golf, but that golf course up here was 9 holes originally, and it was designed by local guys, Piper and Jeff Snyder. And Jeff didn't play golf, but he was very helpful with getting that thing built, and other guys. And so that's the front line now. And then they got a professional designer for the back line many years later. But then, before the beetle kill, why there were trees lining all the fairways. So the big deal was when you hit a shot, it wasn't whether you hit a tree, it was how many trees did that shot.
What do you think? Sounds as though they'd like us to wrap it up. She's been waving at me. Thank you, ladies, very much.